Deep inside a thick green jungle, where sunlight struggled to touch the ground, lived a young man named Arav. He hadn't come to the jungle for adventure, but to escape failure. Arav had tried many things in his life. He started a small business, but it failed. He struggled with exams. He watched as his friends moved ahead, leaving him feeling stuck and left behind. One day, tired and broken, he walked away from his village and into the vast, unforgiving jungle. All he carried was a small bag and a heart heavy with doubt. On his first night, as he sat near a small flickering fire, he noticed a monkey watching him from a nearby tree. The monkey was small, with bright, intelligent eyes and a torn ear. It was clearly a survivor. Arav spoke quietly, more to himself than to the monkey. "Even you look like you've lost a few battles." The monkey jumped down from its branch, quickly grabbed a fruit from Arav's bag, and scampered a few steps away. But then it slipped on a wet leaf, fell hard, and dropped the fruit. Arav expected the monkey to run away in defeat. Instead, it stood up, shook the dirt from its fur, picked up the fruit again, and climbed right back up the tree. For the first time in days, a small smile touched Arav's lips. The next morning, Arav tried to find his way out of the jungle, but he quickly became lost. Hours turned into an endless afternoon. Hunger gnawed at his stomach, and a cold fear began to creep into his heart. Just then, the same monkey with the torn ear appeared, jumping from branch to branch ahead of him. It would stop, look back at Arav, and wait. "Are you guiding me?" Arav asked, his voice filled with a flicker of hope. The monkey simply moved forward, and so Arav followed. They crossed paths covered in sharp thorns, waded through thick mud, and scrambled over steep, slippery rocks. At one point, Arav's foot slipped, and he fell hard, scraping his knee badly. He sat down, overcome with frustration. "I can't do this anymore," he muttered, ready to give up. The monkey climbed down from a tree and stood right in front of him. It then turned to a nearby tree trunk and began to climb. It failed, slipped, fell. It tried again, and again, and again. Finally, on its fifth attempt, the little monkey made it to a high branch. It looked down at Arav and let out a sharp, piercing sound, almost like a triumphant laugh. Something clicked inside Arav. "If this small creature doesn't quit," he thought, "why should I?" He pushed himself up, ignoring the pain in his knee, and continued walking. That evening, a violent storm crashed through the jungle. Rain poured down in sheets, and the wind howled like a hungry wolf. Arav found a weak shelter under a large rock, shivering from the cold and the fear. To his surprise, the monkey huddled close beside him, sharing its warmth. In that moment, Arav realized something powerful. He was not alone, and neither was the monkey. They were surviving this together. By morning, the storm had passed, leaving the jungle washed clean and silent. And there, in the distance, Arav saw it, the edge of the jungle. Freedom. At the jungle's edge, Arav turned to his small, resilient guide. "We made it," he said, his voice filled with a deep sense of gratitude. The monkey didn't follow him out. It simply sat on a branch, Watching him go, Arav understood. The monkey was never meant to leave the jungle. It was meant to teach him how to survive it. Arav returned to his village, but he was not the same defeated man who had left. He was stronger, filled with a quiet resolve. He failed again later in life, more than once, in fact, but every single time he fell, he remembered the monkey with the torn ear. Fall. Stand up, try again, because success isn't about never falling. It's about always, always climbing back up. The true moral of this story is that life will knock you down, sometimes again and again. But like that little monkey in the jungle, your real strength is shown not in avoiding the fall, but in how many times you have the courage to rise again. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that inspires.